Welcome to tonight's live stream. I'm going to get started in a moment. I just need to let everybody on social media know that the stream is currently on the air. Going on 314 J Rock. Glad to see you here. Okay, now that I've let everybody know that the stream is currently on the air, I'm going to get into tonight's topic. And tonight's topic was based on a video that I saw on TikTok of an OnlyFans sex worker who said that they slept with 100 men in one day in October. Now, I was originally planning on doing a video about this woman. However, I wanted to go a bit more in depth on this woman who went out here and slept with these 100 men in one day. And I wanted to go more in depth on her because when I listened to her story, she definitely sounds like one of these feminist indoctrinated women that I talk about in my book, The Woman Crisis. Now, Lily Phillips is a OnlyFans model who said that she cried after sleeping with 101 men in one day and got really emotional after participating in this stunt that she did in order to get attention for her OnlyFans page. And I'm going to let you hear her in her own words in this video that she did for this documentary that's currently on YouTube. And I'm going to let you hear the clip that she did and let you hear her tell us all about how sad she was regarding participating in this sex act.
Process, do you think, what's happened?
Not yet. God, I won't forget the stage, Jesus.
When I decided to start making this documentary, I wasn't too sure of what to expect. I certainly didn't expect to see Lily so upset at the end of it all.
I think sometimes like feeling so like robotic. Like by I think like the 30th, like when we're getting on a bit, I've got like a routine of like how we're going to do this. And like it just, sometimes you'd like disassociate and be like, like it's not like normal sex at all. In my head right now, I can think of like 5, 6 guys, 10 guys that I remember. And that's it. But it's just, I don't know, it's just weird, isn't it? Like, if I didn't have the videos, I wouldn't have known I've done 100, you know. But yeah, I think that was kind of the hard part, is like conversing with them, and like when they'd kind of be like, oh, like we've only had 2 minutes or 3 minutes and you said 5 on the message.
Did someone say that to you?
Yeah. And obviously it just makes me feel so bad.
Do you think you should feel bad about that?
I guess when you've promised something to people who support you, it's kind of hard to let them down.
But it's up to you, right? Like when you know.
Yeah.
Have you even processed, do you think, what's happened?
Not yet. God, I won't forget this day, Jesus.
When I decided to start making this documentary, I wasn't too sure of what to expect. I certainly didn't expect to see Lily so upset at the end of it all.
Okay. Now, from this clip, we see this OnlyFans model. Her name is Lily Phillips, and she's a 23-year-old young woman, and she decided to go into sex work after going to college and participating in sexual promiscuity. And as she went out here and was out here on having this OnlyFans page, in order to get more attention for herself, what she did was choreograph this stunt where she looked to go out here and have sex with 101 men, and hoped that this would be able to get her attention as related to this marathon of sex that she participated in with these 100 men as related to getting some content for her OnlyFans page. And in the beginning, before she made this interview for the documentary, she said she was proud of this behavior, but as she did this documentary, she went out here and became extremely emotional. And as she became extremely emotional, this is where I noticed her behavior fit a pattern of behavior I did as I was doing my research for my book, The Woman Crisis. And this is a pattern of behavior I've seen with many adult film stars as related to the sexual promiscuity they participated in and the whole feelings that they have after they have these sexual encounters with these men. Now, with Lily Phillips, this 23-year-old young woman, she definitely, as I see it, fits this pattern and profile for feminist indoctrinated women that I talk about in my book, The Woman Crisis. And her problems aren't not starting with this sex that she participated in, but with the sexual miseducation she received when she was younger. Now, with most girls who have grown up in the aftermath of the sexual revolution of the 1960s, many of these girls, as they were indoctrinated into feminism, basically got a sexual miseducation, and they got a sexual miseducation because the feminists basically told these girls that men and women are the same. And as they told them that men and women are the same, what happened to these girls is that they thought they could go out here and participate in what they believed to be the sexual behaviors of the men that they were told about who were sexually promiscuous. But what they didn't understand is that they were getting misinformation. They were getting misinformation from these feminists who only experienced a small contingent of sexually promiscuous whoremonger males, but did not ever get to see an actual man. And this is what they use to create this whole culture as related to the sexual miseducation that many of these girls got from the baby boomer generation onward. And as they got this sexual miseducation, what happened to these girls is, one, they thought that men and women are the same, and two, they thought that women could go out here and have sex like men, but like they thought men were supposed to have. Unfortunately, what they all got was misinformation from the feminists, and this misinformation basically took these girls off the road that God established as related to relationships for both men and women, because when God made men and women, he made men and women to be of the same species, but he made men and women to be completely different. And the way women go out and process things as related to their feelings regarding sex is different from that of a man, because a man is logical and basically a logical creature, but a woman is an emotional being, and as an emotional being, she cannot go out here and process all of these emotions that she has as related to these sexual encounters because she was never designed to be out here to have multiple sexual partners by God in the first place. No, God meant for both the man and the woman to come together in marriage. Unfortunately, the feminist didn't understand this due to the dysfunctional way she was raised, primarily in these single mother households, which came about either by a divorce or by the father basically abandoning the home. So she didn't get a functional understanding of what a healthy relationship was like between men and women. And what's sad is that she passed this whole dysfunctional mindset onto her daughters who grew up in feminism. And as she passed this on to her daughters, this is where we get young women who basically buy into ideas that they were indoctrinated in, not only by the feminists, but by institutions that supported the feminists, such as Madison Avenue, Hollywood, and the adult film industry, institutions that basically look to profit from this whole sexual miseducation, a sexual miseducation that has young women like Lily Phillips here believing that she can go out here and be sexually promiscuous and believe that this sexual promiscuity is perfectly normal behavior. Unfortunately, what she doesn't understand is that she's on a dark road that several other women already went down, and it wasn't good for those women when they went down this road. Now, back in the 1990s, there was an Asian woman named Annabelle Chong, who was one of the first women to go out here and have hundreds of sexual partners. And she did this as part of an adult film she was participating in called The World's Biggest Gangbang. And Annabelle Chong participated in this film in 1995. And as she was in this film, she agreed to engage with 251 men and have sex with these 251 men. And that was considered to be a record at the time. And it was talked about on shows like the Jerry Springer Show. I mean, this was one of the first women to go out here and look to have a record as related to sexual partners. And basically, Annabelle Chong was doing this as some sort of experiment, but I basically believe she was doing it because she had heard about the stories of guys like Will Chamberlain, who had over 20,000 women. And with this feminist indoctrinated woman, what she wanted to do was go out here and show that a woman could do the same things she believed a man was doing, not looking at the background of that man, not looking at the pattern of that man as related to his whoremonger behavior. No, what Annabelle Chong was looking at was looking to go out here and make a name for herself by participating in this whole pornographic film, which was built to be like a Roman playground. And again, look to go out here and have this woman have sex with all of these men. But what was happening with Annabelle Chong, who thought this was a liberating experience, basically what she was exploited at the end of the day because she was promised $10,000 for participating in this whole sex act with these 251 men, but she never got any money as related to this film. And basically, her body was just basically used all throughout this film, which is considered to be one of the most highest grossing pornographic films in history. And sadly, that's what happened to Annabelle Chong as she looked to, again, make this record and create this record as related to this whole experience. But this basically did damage to Annabelle Chong. And in the aftermath of this whole act, there were others who looked to surpass Annabelle Chong and looked to further go out here. And there were actresses like Houston who went out here and got involved with over what they call 600 men. And after that, then you had another woman, Lisa Sparks, who had 919 men. And all of these women, again, looking to elevate their status as related to all of this sexual promiscuity, looking to elevate their social status by looking to, again, have all of these sexual encounters with these different men. But this whole attempt to go and do this basically did damage to all of these women's minds, did damage to all of these women's spirits, because what these women don't understand is something that Ringo had talked about, but I knew way before that, that when a woman goes out here and she has sex with a man, what happens is that the two become one, and the two become one because the woman and the man, basically what happens is the man releases his spirit and DNA inside of that woman, and that woman's spirit bonds with that man, and as the two of them become one, what happens is the sex act is supposed to be an act that brings both of these people closer together and allows them to bond mentally, emotionally, and spiritually. However, what happens in the case of the sexually promiscuous women is that because they've had so many partners, what happens is this doesn't allow that woman to go out and pair bond and be able to connect with a man. And this is what's happening here in the case of Lily Phillips that got her so upset and emotional. What happened with Lily Phillips that's putting her on the road to being a woman in crisis is she's out here sexually promiscuous with these 100 men. And as these men are entering into her body, releasing their spirit and DNA inside of her, why she is so emotional is because she's not forming a bond with any of these men. No, Lisa isn't bonding with any of these men. No, because she's got over 100 spirits and 100 pieces of DNA inside of her. What's happening to her is what I talk about in The Woman Crisis. Her entire body is being, and her spirit is being torn apart. And this is what's leading to her being so emotional because she's got over 100 spirits inside of her, 100 pieces of DNA, and all of these pieces are pulling at her soul because what they can't do is bond with her, and they're basically creating all of this fighting inside of her, and all of this fighting inside of her is pulling at her soul, and that's what's happening to this woman, Lily Phillips, right now, and it's happening to her, and it's again tearing her apart to the point that when you look at a picture of Lily Phillips, I'm going to show you a picture of Lily Phillips' eyes that look very similar to a picture that I saw of another woman that I found to be quite troubling and downright disturbing. I mean, I saw this picture of Lily Phillips. I mean, I want you to look at her eyes. That right there is the thousand cock stare, a look in a woman's eyes that I basically saw in a woman who basically got involved with a black man and almost tried to kill him as related to hooking up with him. This is the same look in her eyes. And if you look in her eyes, they look extremely disconnected, extremely detached, and she has no connection to humanity. I mean, look in this woman's eyes. This is what the thousand cock stare looks like. And that thousand cock stare basically is the same thing as the 1,000-yard stare that many soldiers had when they were in the Vietnam War after seeing so much trauma during that war of seeing death all around them every day, and it made them to the point where they were disconnected. And what's happening to many Western women is the exact same thing from being so sexually promiscuous. What's happening is that these women are becoming extremely detached in their eyes as related to their facial expression. I mean, look at this woman's eyes. She just has no sort of soul behind those eyes. I mean, I can tell when a woman has that soul in her eye, that spark in her eye, and has that smile in her spirit, that happiness and peace in her spirit. And when I look at this woman's eyes, I don't see any of that peace inside of her soul. No, I just see an empty woman looking at me like that I've seen as related to many pictures of women who have been sexually promiscuous. They all have this same troubling look. And that's what I see here with Lily Phillips, this young lady from the UK at 23 years old. She's basically got this look that I've seen many of these women who have been extremely sexually promiscuous, like adult film stars, like strippers, and many other sex workers, they just become so detached as related to themselves that they have this look in their eyes that basically looks like they have no sort of spirit or spiritual connection to anyone at all. And that's what I see in this woman's eyes. And it's a troubling look. When you see a woman like this with this look on her face, I mean, this is a scary look when you take a look at it. I'm going to show you guys this once again, because I want you to understand what you're looking at. I want you to understand what you're looking at, because this in and of itself is a disturbing facial expression when you see it in front of you. I mean, when you see a woman looking at you like this, she's not looking at you, she's looking through you. And she's looking through you because she doesn't see you as a person that she cares about. And she doesn't see you as a person that she cares about because she's never been taught to care about anyone. And that's something that happens with a lot of feminist indoctrinated women. Because with a lot of the feminist indoctrinated women, once they go out here and are sexually promiscuous, what happens to those women is they no longer know how to love. And a lot of them don't know how to love due to the foundation of that sexual miseducation, where they were never taught about their role as related to God's order, because they were never taught that role, because many of those feminists told us that that role was sexist, and they decided the role of a feminist was better than a woman. And because those girls were taught that being a feminist was better than a woman, they don't understand their role as women. And as they think that they can be just like what the men they believe are men, and really are not men, these are whoremonger males. This is what they think that they are. And a lot of these women never understand their role as a helpmeet to go out here and serve men. And if they serve and submit to the men, they would get protection. They would get protection so that they would not go out here and be humiliated like this. Because what's happened here to Lily Phillips is this is not an act of empowerment. No, this is not an act of empowerment at all. No, what's happening here to Lily Phillips is she's bought into a lot of lies from these feminists. She's bought in a lot of lies from Madison Avenue and Hollywood and the porn industry that told her that this would be a liberating act, that this would be an accomplishment. And sadly, with Lily Phillips from the UK, she didn't do her research on the past history of the other three women I talked about, Annabelle Chong, Houston, and this other woman, Lisa Sparks, to see what happened in the aftermath of those women going out here and looking to, again, meet these disturbing goals of having all of these sexual partners. No, she didn't do any research. She was just desperate for attention. And as she was desperate for attention with this OnlyFans page, she was thinking about how much money she was going to make, not understanding what she was sacrificing as related to her intangibles of womanhood, such as her dignity, her self-respect, and her just basic soul, because the thing that she's sacrificing is her soul, and she's sacrificing her soul because she doesn't understand the value of her soul, because no one taught her about her role as a woman in God's order. Nobody taught her how she is supposed to serve God. No, what has happened with this woman is she's just basically out here thinking that she can go out here and compete like a man. That's what she's been thinking even before she came to college, because this girl came to the university sleeping with different guys. And then as she was sleeping with different guys, she was getting a dopamine rush from that, from being involved with these men and getting attention. And as she wanted a higher dopamine hit, this is where she decided to go and leave college to go to OnlyFans. And as she's been on OnlyFans, she basically has gotten this addiction to attention. And as she's gotten this addiction to attention, she's looking to escalate that need for attention by participating in these outlandish stunts. However, this need for addiction to attention and to participate in these outlandish stunts is doing damage to this young woman, as related to not only her body, but her soul. And that was shown in her statements where she talked about this whole sexual encounter with this 101 men in one day. She talked about how she was basically feeling like a robot and feeling detached as related to these encounters. And this is the same thing that I heard many pornographic actresses talk about as related to the sexual encounters they would have on the set. When I would hear pornographic actresses talk about how they would have these encounters with these men, they would basically be saying about how they would feel disconnected from their bodies, how they would feel detached from their bodies, and in some cases feel like they were watching themselves participate in these sex acts. That's not a good place to be because you're not connecting with the person. No, what you are is becoming disconnected from yourself, and becoming disconnected from yourself and disassociating from yourself means that you're in a place where you're trying to cope with this whole situation where you're abusing your body. I mean, this is an abuse of your body, and that's what this whole act is. It's a way of abusing your body. And not only did this young woman say this, no, what I heard this from Annabelle Chong, and I heard it from the other two women, how it just felt like they were just disconnected from their bodies and felt like they weren't even a part of their bodies, because this isn't a sex act at all. That is the way I believe God would make sex for, because God meant for a man and a woman to come together as one and come together to share with each other and share the love that he has and wants to give to the world. That's what God made sex to be. But this woman basically, again, she's not looking to share with these men. No, she's basically looking to, again, let these men use her body so that she could go out here and get that dopamine hit on the internet. I mean, it's almost no different than prostitution in that she's pimping her body out as related to getting that attention on the internet and looking to further escalate her attention, just like one Phobos has mentioned. I mean, what I saw later on as related to this woman after suffering all of this emotional damage was she was looking to escalate her behavior even further and looking to further escalate her behavior by making a very disturbing statement that I basically saw her make. And this statement that she made, let me see if I can find it. I mean, she made this statement and it was really troubling to me. I mean, just really troubling. I mean, this was a really troubling statement that she had gone out here and made. And this statement basically was one that I found to be quite disturbing. And it was this one right here. I'm going to play it right now.
I'm trying to be the first person to be with 1,000 guys in 24 hours. Now
that's just a clip of what she said. But what she said as related to that quest to meet this disturbing goal was she was sitting here talking about how she wanted you to offer up your husbands, offer up your boyfriends, offer up your sons, offer up your brothers. I found that to be stomach-churningly sick. I mean, this woman basically has no regard for these individuals. And basically, as she sits there, she's not seeing how this just shows how she's becoming more and more depraved. I mean, you already had yourself brought to tears as related to this whole previous sexual encounter, but you are still looking to go on in your sexual promiscuity and looking to do even further damage to your mental health, because this does do damage to your mental health, because you have all these spirits inside of you, all of these spirits inside of you pulling at you, and she wants to go out here and go for more. Now, I've even watched the TikTok where she talked about how her next goal is 300 men, and this is just showing me that this woman has serious issues as related to sex and is really seriously disturbed overall, just overall disturbed as related to being a woman who's in a serious crisis because she's basically caught up in this whole Arkham certified delusion of looking to get attention through sexual promiscuity, looking to get the sexual promiscuity with these men. And the sex acts she's participating in, again, are not about love. I mean, she sits there and talks about how she just was again feeling robotic and just feeling like these guys were just using her body and feeling disassociated. And if she's feeling that type of mental damage as related to 100 men, if 300 come, she's on the road to basically being headed towards the road that I've heard many adult film stars wind up on, where they wind up taking drugs to deal with the disassociation so that they can escape the abuse in their bodies. And as they're looking to escape the abuse that they're doing to their bodies, what they do is start taking drugs. And as things go on, as they participate in this promiscuity, she may possibly be another one of these tragic cases, of adult film stars. I did a video on this year. I remember doing a video this year talking about how 5 adult film stars wound up taking their life this year. And when I look at this young woman at 23 years old, she's basically on a road to possibly being another woman I possibly will be having to do a video on to follow up about being a woman in crisis. And that's the sad story I'm seeing with this woman. Again, here you have a woman who's sitting there. Again, she's falling apart right in front of us. I mean, this woman, again, in October, did this to get attention for her OnlyFans page, but this woman definitely needs some help here as related to her whole state of her mind. She really needs some help as related to the state of her mind, because this is not something you do to go out here and get attention. No, this is not something you do to go out here and get attention for yourself. No, this is a sign that a young woman is not getting her emotional needs met. No, this is a sign that a woman is not getting her needs met by her family. Now, her family is sitting there saying that they are going along with her, and that's the worst thing of all, because that really shows me that this family has a really poor moral position. And as their daughter is going, she's going in a really bad direction. She's going in a really bad direction, because no mother, I would believe, would be proud to hear that her daughter's accomplishment in life is sleeping with 101 men in one single day. No, that whole accomplishment is one that is just disturbing, but is disturbing to the point where you just have to look at it and see it as a sad part of the modern woman. A modern woman who, on average, has had 80 sexual partners by the time she's 30 years old. And the reason why we have young women acting like this is because many of these young women, again, have not gotten that sexual education in the Bible, because many of our pastors don't want to give that sexual education, because they one, are out here looking to make compromises with these institutions, a covert contract where they can go out here and have all this sex with women in their congregation and be able to do this without any accountability. And to many of the pastors are ashamed to talk about sex openly. They're ashamed to talk about sex openly like I do. They're ashamed to talk out here and teach young ladies their role as a helpmeet in God's order, or tell them that sex is reserved for marriage by God and is only supposed to be done between a husband and a wife. That is what God reserved marriage for, so that you could have healthy sexual relations, so that when you have sex with a man, your spirit and his come together, and the two of you become one in that marriage. And as you become one, basically your spirit and DNA are bonded to each other, and the two of you can pair bond, and then both of you can come together to do God's work on earth. That's what God made marriage for. Unfortunately, because many of our young girls get indoctrinated into feminism at an early age and learn how to become feminists, they go on this road to participating in sexual promiscuity. And as they go on to participate in this sexual promiscuity, what happens to these young girls is they learn everything about all of the having sex and looking to become what Madison Avenue and Hollywood define as a woman through having sexual encounters. They learn that graduating towards becoming a wife is by going out here and having a sexual encounter, when again, becoming a woman is something that God made by a woman being born female. And again, She graduates to becoming a wife in marriage. That's what she graduates to, becoming a wife in marriage. She's already a woman, but the whole thing is that the feminist that defines everything through sex, because sex is how they bartered everything in life, and they bartered everything in life by trading things as related to sex. So for them, sex is a commodity, and what they do is commodify sexual relationships, and they teach their daughters to commodify sexual relationships. And as they teach them to commodify those relationships, they tell them that this is a way to, one, create social currency for themselves. And that's what this woman, Lily Phillips, wants to do. She wants to create social currency to elevate her social status. And she's hoping that elevating her social status will elevate her economic status. But the whole thing is that the way she wants to elevate her status makes it where her value drops tremendously and in the social marketplace, and drops tremendously in the social marketplace tremendously, because a sexually promiscuous woman who has over 100 men, basically nobody wants anything to do with that woman because she has a low moral position, she has no values, and will do anything for attention, will do anything for attention and approval as related to elevating her social status. And this has nothing to do with men at all. I mean, Dee Wood talked about that in the comment section for a minute, how they want to blame men for this. No, men of character want nothing to do with women who pull stunts like this. No, men of character want nothing to do with a woman who goes out here and participates in a stunt like this. And men don't encourage women to go out here and do these kinds of things. No, the males that go out here and make these, participate in these kind of stunts, these are whoremonger males, just like the ones who go out here and again they look to get easy sexual opportunities. I mean, these guys basically don't regard women, don't care about women, and again, oftentimes people mix these males up with men. But again, a man is a man of character, and he'd have nothing to do with this kind of woman at all. No, he would have absolutely nothing to do with this kind of woman. And this kind of woman was not anyone any man would want to deal with. I mean, here you have a woman who came on TikTok talking about how she wants to, again, have sex with 1,000 men, 1,000 men, talking about how she wants to get husbands and your brothers and your sons. Again, talking about asking someone to participate in adultery. I mean, you're asking a husband to go get involved with this just harlot woman, and you want to go out here and then want to corrupt somebody's brother or somebody's son as related to getting your record. And that just speaks volumes to the narcissism that this woman has as related to her depraved indifference to things. I mean, she basically perverts sex and sexuality because she has this horrible sexual miseducation, a sexual miseducation that many Gen Xers like myself were indoctrinated in. And if it wasn't for the Most High God, I would still be as miseducated as this woman. But as I began to understand how it relates to the Bible, I understood that this road was a bad one because, again, having sex like this is, again, abusing your body. Basically, again, this woman has turned herself into an object, for these men to abuse as she looks to go out here and chase this clout as related to elevating her social status and infamy. As she looks to elevate her social status, she basically doesn't see what she's losing because she has such low self-esteem. I mean, this woman has extremely low self-esteem and low self-worth because she's thinking, oh, this is an accomplishment for a 23-year-old woman. Well, I don't oftentimes agree with the late Kevin Samuels, but there was one point that I do agree with him on as related to all of these OnlyFans women. I mean, what's going to happen to all of these OnlyFans women when they start to get older? Because when it comes to these types of accomplishments, what happens is once these women get old, they basically cannot be out here with this whole thing. I mean, once you start to get older, men no longer are interested in you as related to your body, especially if you've had all of these sexual partners. And yes, these women will make money in the short term. And again, a lot of them get off on the fact that they are in their prime right now. And in the short term, they're getting attention. But when these women start to turn 25 or even 26 years old, that's when they wind up on the road to bust downtown. And as they wind up on the road to bust downtown, this is where their social marketplace value drops 50, 60, 70, even 80% off the original social marketplace price. And this chick basically having more miles on her than a Duramax diesel and more problems than an 89 Yugo and more miles than a Duramax diesel. I mean, most guys ain't going to be thinking about these women. No, when this woman, she's sitting here talking about, oh, that she believes she'll have no problem getting married. I mean, the simp pool, what this woman doesn't understand, at 23, yeah, the simp pool is big when you're 23 years old. But once you turn 25, 26, and I've seen this myself, once these women start turning 25, 26, and then once they start hitting 30, that's when the simp pool dries up. And that's when the same promiscuous woman is out here looking for a good man and sadly not finding a good man because she spent her time with guys who were bottom feeders, spent her time with these guys out here looking to pull these stunts in sexual deviancy, letting these guys go out here and abuse her body, and wound up taking her best years not to build a relationship with a man who would be her husband. No, she went out here pursuing a career in the adult entertainment industry and pursuing that career in the adult entertainment industry. And at the end of the day, like D-Wood is saying, that when OnlyFans ends, this is where the only thing they're going to be able to do is Subway or some sort of minimum wage job because they haven't developed any skills, haven't developed any work experience, and many people just don't want her around their business because they would feel optically it would damage their brand and their professional reputation to have this kind of woman around them who, again, has already said she's not going to just be at the point of 101 men. She's going to go to work to try to go out here and be with 300 men, and then look to go out here and be with 1,000 men. And again, this is not a healthy way to express yourself sexually. No, this is sexual abuse. This is basically a person abusing their body. Now, I keep saying abusing your body because this is not how your body was designed to be designed to interact with God. I mean, God did not design a woman or a man's body to be abused like this. No, he wants it to be a temple of the Holy Spirit, and he wants it to be a temple of the Holy Spirit that gives glory to him. That's what he wants to do with men and women. He put us here for his glory, and there's no glory to God in any of this. No, this right here, this woman, again, is doing the work of the devil, and that can basically be seen by the look in this woman's eyes. Again, I'm going to put the picture up again. I want you to take a look in this woman's eyes. I mean, look in this woman's eyes. I mean, you have to understand when I've seen so many sexually promiscuous women, and again, they have this blank look in their eyes. And this woman at 23 years old has the exact same look that I saw a couple of years ago with that woman who got arrested for torturing that black man who she met on a hook on one of these dating apps and looked to try to stab him to death and looked to murder him. I mean, this is the same look that I saw in her eyes, and that's what I see in this woman's eyes. And if she continues on this quest, she's possibly going to go from looking to, again, participate in these types of events to going out here looking to hurt people, because what happens when you are sexually promiscuous like this is you stop seeing people as people. And that's what she was saying in this video, proving my point about sexual promiscuity, that when you go out here and you've had sex with so many partners, you don't even see people as people anymore. You don't even see people as people. It becomes just body parts, orifices, and genitals, and you don't even feel anything. And And that's not a good thing for most women, because women are emotional. They want to get as close and intimate with a man. They want to feel closeness with a man. They want to feel a bond with a man. They want to feel that bond with them and feel as close to them. That's why they want to have sex with a man, because for women, sex is emotional. It's emotional because they want to feel that love coming from you. They want to feel that love radiating from you. And that's what brings them together with a man to the point where they want to share their life with a man. And for them, having sex with that man is about sharing that love and coming together. And sadly, that's what girls aren't learning, because the feminist movement told them they could be what they thought men were. They thought that men just wanted to have sex for pleasure, but men who care about women don't just see pleasure as related to their bodies. They see pleasure as sharing love with that woman. They see love as what they want to do. They want to love that woman. They want to be close to that woman the same way that that woman wants to be close to them. That's what they want to be under God. They want that love where they come together, and that's what they want as related to that relationship, the same relationship we should want to have with God, where we want to get close to Him and intimate with Him. That's what we would want. But sadly, many girls like this Lily Phillips, again, did not get that spiritual education. They did not get that spiritual education on sex. They did not get that sexual education as related to feeling comfortable with their own bodies. No, what this woman is doing is not a person who's comfortable and secure in their own body, but is insecure and again is looking for love, but in this lust, not finding love at all, just feeling a lot of hurt and looking to medicate that hurt by escaping through these sex acts. And eventually, she's going to become so numb on the inside and so detached on the inside that what's going to happen to this Lily Phillips, again, I've seen it happen so many times with strippers, adult film stars, and adult entertainers, is after having all of these different sexual encounters, they basically, again, start to look from escaping through their bodies to escaping through drugs and alcohol. And eventually, if they stay and continue to participate on this road, I mean, I've heard about the tragedy of many of these women basically winding up taking their own lives. And that's the tragic road that this woman is on. She's a woman in crisis, who is in desperate need of help and can't see how desperately she needs help. Because as I watched that whole little 2-minute clip, when I was listening to this 1-minute clip of this woman, I found it, again, to be quite troubling. I found it troubling because it's everything I wrote about in my book, The Woman Crisis, regarding the sexual frustration and the sexual miseducation of the feminist indoctrinated women as related to the sexual revolution and the road to sexual deviancy that basically many women I see are on, and it's becoming a trend that women are on this road to sexual deviancy because this is deviant behavior. It's deviant behavior because when you have a woman going out here and having sex with more than one man at the time, again, this is a road to sexual deviancy, and a road to sexual deviancy, just like the beta male who's in the secret world, where you no longer see people as people. And this is the woman confirming this out of her own mouth, saying that she didn't even see these guys as people anymore. And basically, when you have a woman like this who doesn't see people like people anymore, this is a woman who basically is on the road to possibly, again, if she does go out here, could be just like another woman I had did a video about who looked to murder a black guy she was having a hookup with and could possibly be on the road to committing crimes. This is what I talk about in The Woman Crisis as well. And this woman, again, in a really bad place, and is basically proving the whole point that I made in my book, The Woman Crisis, basically a textbook example of a woman in crisis, and again, shows what can happen when you don't have that family, when you don't have a good family to give you guidance, because no parent wants to see their daughter reflecting this out here. No father worth his salt wants to see this their daughter like this. This is an embarrassment to a father. It's an embarrassment to me as a man. I mean, this girl is basically old enough to be a daughter of mine. I mean, if I had children, this girl could be old enough to be one of my daughters. And again, this girl is on a road to just again, she's on a terrible road and a terrible road. And again, people see what's happening here, and it's really troubling, just troubling all around. Now you got Michael Marcel saying it's her body, her choice about things about the STD and AIDS and all that stuff. But no, the whole thing is if you don't get educated, you will make bad choices like this woman. She's making bad choices with her body due to the miseducation. Girls, ever since the baby boomer generation, have received as related to the sexual miseducation they have received. And as all of these children have gotten the sexual miseducation, they have participated in sexual promiscuity. And as they participated in sexual promiscuity, we are seeing these boys and girls become more and more sexually deviant. I mean, I just did a video today about 3 wealthy brothers who came from a real estate company who were making millions of dollars. And these guys, basically, what they were doing was running a trafficking ring where they were putting up ads in online dating and misleading women, making it look like they were going to get the guy of their dreams, but then looking to drug and humiliate those women. Again, on both sides of the genders, we have both men and women in crisis, and they're participating in more debauchery, more deviant and more disturbing behaviors. I mean, this is what happens when you don't have someone who sits down with you and teaches you that sex is something that's private, something that's intimate between a married man and a married woman. When you don't have that education from God as related to God's order, you get this chaos going on here, because any society where you've got a woman saying that she wants to sleep with 1,000 men is a dangerous society. When you've got a society where you've got women talking about, I want to sleep with your husband, I want to sleep with your brothers and your boyfriends to meet a record, that's something wrong with that woman, and something wrong with the moral position of your women, because the only direction your nation can go is in a downward spiral if your women are like this. When your women are like this, this is a bad sign. I mean, in the UK, they wonder why their society is falling apart. Well, look at the image of your woman. I will show you the image of the Western white female once again. Here is the image of the Western white woman. Look straight in her eyes. I mean, look in those eyes, and that's not the eyes of someone who loves herself. No, when you look at that dead expression in those eyes, that 1,000-yard stare, similar to traumatized soldiers. I mean, just like the traumatized soldiers of the Vietnam War, our Western girls are being traumatized because they are being sexually miseducated. And as they become sexually miseducated, they wind up abusing their bodies with mankind and are being shell-shocked as a result. They're no longer being these sweet and innocent girls who go out here and play with Barbie dolls at 11, 12 years old. No, these are not the girls who are 11, 12 years old who are playing with Barbie dolls and gem dolls, or talking about, going to the movies or reading Archie Digest. No, those are the healthy behaviors of 12-year-old girls at one time. But as Gen X went on, this is where we started to see this trend of little girls getting into things they were not mentally or emotionally ready for by men who basically abused them. And many of these, and as they went from high school to college, they wound up again participating in this sexual promiscuity. And this did devastating damage to these girls who thought, oh, this was normal behavior, but didn't understand that the whole normal behavior is you basically keeping your chastity and having your father protect you and your brothers protect you as you go out here and guys court you, and guys courting you through the process of vetting, and go out here and vet these guys to see where these guys are going, because no father, again, or any man wants to see his daughter out here being smashed and demolished by all of these different dudes different dudes who put all of these spirits and DNA inside of this woman and basically destroy her chances of ever getting married because she can't bond with her husband if she's out here got her emotions tied to another man. And in the case of this woman, Lily Phillips, her basic thing is that she's tied to so many guys and they're tearing her apart that she's thinking, oh, a guy will marry her. Well, the only guys who would marry her would be the dumbest simp on the planet because no smart man would ever want to be with a woman who's already been with 101 men that we know of in one day and possibly dozens more. No, that woman got more souls in her than Ermac from Mortal Kombat. That woman got 1,000 souls inside of her, and all of those 1,000 souls are tearing at her soul. And as they are tearing at her soul, what is this? That she cannot bond or connect with you. And since she can't bond and connect with you, some of these women basically become numb. They become like shells. And that's when they become dangerous to a man because they don't see a man as a human being. No, they see a man as a tool they can use. That's the other part of the feminist indoctrinated woman. She basically has commodified her own body to the point where she no longer sees a man as a person. And if she doesn't see a man as a person, what she does is see a man as somebody that she can go out here and plan a murder of malice, of forethought. And that's where that woman basically winds up on the road to getting involved with the guy I call the final simp. And again, the final simp is the dude who has to who gets all the rage taken out on him from this woman, from all the other men she's been with. She gets the rage taken out as related to all those men. And that poor final simp, this is the guy who usually winds up getting murdered for insurance money or winds up getting murdered as she has a side dude. That's what happens to the final simp. And this woman, basically, I want you to read the articles because she basically talks about how she thinks she's going to get a man. No man wants anything to do with this type of woman. No man wants anything to do with this type of female. This is not a woman who no man would consider wife material. No, what's happening here is this is a woman who is again, I will say it once more, she's a woman in crisis. She's a woman who needs mental health counseling. She needs somebody to get her some counseling and get her some help. She needs somebody to, again, give her that guidance because, again, like Dee would have said, again, 23 years old, this is a young woman, basically a girl. She isn't even 25 just yet because 25 is when you're supposed to start to mature, but she's on a really bad road. She's still not matured up just yet, and the behavior she's participating in is behavior that really she needs some serious help. I mean, people are sitting there thinking, oh, this is something that they're just talking about. Oh, she's upset in the documentary. Well, they don't understand why she's upset. I understand why she's upset. I understand that this woman is out here having sex and is not and participating in sexual acts she is not mentally or emotionally ready for. And again, having 101 men go inside your body and just use your body, that's something that, again, would be hard for any woman who's even older to process. I mean, this is something, again, women are emotional, and to process these emotions about feeling used like this, I mean, this is something that, again, will be impossible to process, and impossible to process because you've got all of these spirits inside of you, you've got all these emotions, you don't feel any love because women, when they have sex, they want to feel love. And that's why they call it making love. A lot of times they will say it's making love. They want to feel that love from that man, but there's no love in this whole situation. It's just going out here. She's just allowing these guys to just go in her body and use her body, touch her like one of these sex dolls, and again, just go out here and abuse her body. That's what's happening with this woman. And she's not understanding what's going on. Because again, at 23, you don't really know anything. I remember being 23, and my goal at 23 was to get a PlayStation 1. That was my goal, was to get a PlayStation 1, hopefully get back into comics, because I finally got a job working at Food Emporium at 23 years old. That was my first job. And again, you don't know much about life at 23, but I know at 23, I wouldn't want to be out here like that. I mean, I would want to, again, have an actual relationship and get myself to that. No, what happens is that when you have a young girl like this girl, again, doesn't have that family. I mean, I don't know what's going on with that family, because this is a child, again, should be told, you know, you don't want to be on no OnlyFans. I wouldn't want my daughter to be on OnlyFans. That's a site for prostitutes and strippers, a site for women who basically, again, are thinking to get fast money because they feel like they have no options. I mean, here's a girl who went out here, was in the university, and instead of staying in the university, decides to go for this fast money as related to this website. And again, like the late Kevin Samuel said, he said that, again, these women aren't thinking about their future and not thinking about what damage they're doing to their future. And this young woman basically wasn't thinking about the damage she was doing to her future. I mean, this woman is basically destroyed her life at 23 and doesn't know about the damage she's done to herself, doesn't know about the damage she did to herself, and that's the whole sad part. One full boss, I didn't know you got your bachelor's at 23. Congratulations. I mean, I got my degree at, 21? That's when I got mine in 1994. And yeah, when you're in your 20s like that, you're just thinking about getting your first job. You're thinking about, getting your degree. You're thinking about doing something with yourself, productive. But this young lady, I mean, she has been doing this and thinks that this is an accomplishment. And what's really sad is nobody has sat down and talked to her about women who came before her. Nobody talked to her about Annabelle Chong. Nobody talked to her about Houston. Nobody talked to her about Lisa Sparks. I mean, nobody sat down and talked about, these women and what happened to these women afterward. Nobody talked about what type of emotional damage was done to these women. I mean, nobody sat there and talked to these young women about what your future is going to look like, and showed them the history of what happened. I mean, this in and of itself, I mean, this is just twisted. I mean, just twisted all around, and twisted all around because I look at this whole situation and it is a troubling one. I mean, this woman basically is Arkham certified as I see it, and again, needs to get some help, because she's been given a whole lot of misinformation, about sex and sexuality, and basically needs to, again, be shown the truth, because this should not be your goal. No, this in and of itself should not be your goal, to sit there and say your ultimate goal is to go out here and have sex with 1,000 men in 24 hours and have a casting call for it. This is disturbing when you think about this. I mean, again, look at the look in this woman's eyes. I keep repeating that because I want you to understand this is not a healthy look for a woman to have in her eyes. This is not a healthy facial expression. This is just, again, something that is quite troubling. Some people are saying, oh, it's not just the physical act, but I look at the mental health aspect of it. I look at the spiritual health aspect of it. I look at most importantly, the spiritual aspect, because this woman is on a road to losing her soul unless God comes in and does a spiritual intervention on her. I mean, unless God does a spiritual intervention on her, she's basically lost her soul. I mean, she basically, like Gabriel was saying, is basically done at this point. I mean, just at 100 men, and she now wants to go for 300. She wants to go for 1,000. And I don't want any guy to get involved with this, because that says a lot about you, about your character, to get involved with this type of female. I mean, it says that, again, this is a whoremonger male who's just basically looking to use a woman's body, and use a woman's body because that man is a man in crisis, just like this is a woman in crisis, a woman in crisis who's in desperate need of an intervention, because she does not know what God is. She doesn't know who God is. She doesn't know what love is. And she's sitting there thinking that this type of act is something that someone who loves themselves would do. No, this is an act that someone who has deep self-hatred would participate in, because they have no love of themselves and no love inside of them. I mean, that's what's happening here with this deeply troubled, deeply disturbed woman, a deeply troubled and deeply disturbed woman who definitely needs an intervention and possibly needs to read my book, A Woman Crisis. Read my book, A Woman Crisis, to see how she has been misled by feminists to believe that she's doing something empowering when it wasn't empowering for Annabelle Chong, it wasn't empowering for Houston, it wasn't empowering for this woman Sparks, and it wasn't empowering for any of those women. No, it wasn't empowering for any of those women at all. No, they just came and went and wound up becoming forgotten, wound up coming and being forgotten as related to things, and people sitting there not really caring at all because it didn't really matter to them. Nope, didn't matter to them at all. No, they just waited to see what woman would go on and look to try to surpass this next woman, and and they forget about you all around. So I look at this whole situation, and it is one of the ones that things that again make me look at my book, The Woman Crisis, and really I shake my head because everything that these women are doing basically is proving every point I made in that book, basically proving every point that I made in that book regarding sexual miseducation leading to sexual promiscuity, and that sexual promiscuity leading to sexual deviancy, and that sexual deviancy leading to women further escalating their behavior to possible criminal behavior, if not looking to take their own life. That is the sad part about this whole story, a whole story that's creating a firestorm of controversy, but it's not a firestorm of controversy for me. No, she's just another woman who fits the pattern and profile of another woman in crisis. Now, if you want to learn more about what leads to women winding up on the road to becoming a woman in crisis and how a woman can break out of that pattern, you can just pick up my book, The Woman Crisis, on Amazon.com in paperback and Kindle format. You can find that book, The Woman Crisis, on Amazon.com and other online booksellers like Craft and Digital, Google Play, Barnes & Noble, and big box retailers like Walmart and Target. And it's a book that I believe will transform your daughter's life or the lives of the men in your life and show you the actual role of women in comparison to the way feminists have taught us, and hopefully get women off the road to being miseducated women who are on the road to becoming women in crisis to becoming women of God, because women need to understand their role in God's order. That's the only way you're going to break out of being a woman in crisis. You really need to read Proverbs 31 and learn about the role of a woman that God has made, a good woman. I mean, that's what a lot of women need to read, and get off this road to OnlyFans, because, again, the only men who are on OnlyFans are simps. The only guys out here looking to get with a woman like this are simps and incels. I mean, these are men who don't regard a woman, don't see a woman as a human being they need to respect or love. No, these are guys who basically, again, want to use women's bodies and abuse them like this. And that's not what we need in our society, because these guys basically turn women into bust downs and basically destroy them as people. And that's what these kind of guys do. And again, I'm not blaming men, because this is this woman's fault, and it's her fault because she was miseducated by feminists. It wasn't men who put her on this road. It was feminists who told her that, oh, this is liberating, this is empowering, but this is degrading because it takes away your dignity and your self-respect. And I want to help women get their respect back and their dignity back. And that's why I write books like The Woman Crisis, to help them break out of this cycle and learn how to become the woman God wants them to be. Now, I'm going to get ready to wrap up tonight's stream. I want to thank everybody for coming out to tonight's stream. And I hope you guys will all be here for next week's stream. And I hope you'll pick up some of my books for the holiday season, because my books make great gifts for people everywhere. And I'm hoping you guys pick up all these books on the SJS Direct imprint, because I'm having a slow year, and I really want to go out here and try to turn things around on the SJS Direct imprint. But I can only do that with your help. So if you guys will pick up some of those books, and the link in the chat will be greatly appreciated. And if you also want to support the channel, you can drop a cash app like one of the viewers did during the live stream, That helps me to be able to stay on the air, and it helps me to be able to go out here and make more great content like this live stream and the videos I do almost every day. Now, if you don't want to do the Cash App, you can donate through PayPal. It's also greatly appreciated. And again, thank you all for coming out tonight. Everybody have a good evening. Everybody have a good weekend. And I hope to be back for next week's stream. And I hope to have more great content for you.